But the first thing that I want to get into is you were very successful, like extremely successful before you even started the YouTube channel. You had like cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, e-commerce ventures. Can you go into how you got into these businesses, what they are, and how you became so successful at them?
Sure. I mean, to be honest, and I appreciate you saying so successful. I mean, it was a struggle for a long time. I think it was really out of necessity. I didn't really feel like I had a lot of options. I dropped out of college. I
Mhm.
was working a lot of dead end jobs. And I think when I was younger, I loved computers. And just at some point, I finally said, I got to try something else. And, I started a marketing company. It was an SEO company. And I actually started doing it at home. I started getting a lot of clients, and I was like, hey, I can open an office. And then from that moment, once I got a taste of like having my own business, it was so
Mhm.
much more rewarding than working for someone else. And so from there, I had no other option. I was like, it's this or it's nothing. And I
Mhm.
think it was just failure after failure, but I still made money during the time before it failed. So I always had hope. Eventually, I got to just build something more stable.
Okay.
And you mentioned cryptocurrencies. I had like left Phoenix, sold my place, short sold it, and I had like 40 grand. And I just put most of it actually in Ethereum. This is back when it was maybe like $10, $15, I think around 11 really. And so it kind of just took off. And I was so passionate about it, I felt like it was really going to change the world. It's just naive. I was like, whoa, this is great. So I decided to make YouTube videos about it. And so that kind of followed along. And I became kind of a personality within the space as well as invested.
Ah, I see. Yeah, that's everybody seemed to have thought a few years back that cryptocurrency was going to be the new dollar.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't seem to turn out that way. I mean, I don't know much about it, but I know it didn't seem to really turn out that way.
Well, right now it's having, a rough time, but Ethereum still from when it was around where I bought it, like around $10, $11, it went up to $5,000. And so now
Oh,
it's around
that's yeah.
2,500. So
Yes,
it's a really
you
big
got
run.
in early. Yeah, you got in early. Okay, okay.
Definitely.
Can you explain what blockchain technology is?
Well, basically it's a database, it's a database that is shared by everyone and verified by everyone. So it's kind of like, an open database is basically the best way I can explain it. What's different about it is that, everybody has like a copy of this database. So that's how it's verified. You have to have a majority of people agree that a transaction happened, and that's how you kind of verify it. And so this decentralized aspect of it is the fact that the database is kind of everywhere. It's not centrally located. So it's not like, hey, I have a database and I'm recording transactions. There's no central database. Everybody has it. And when I say database, you could say ledger to make it a little bit simpler, just a ledger of transactions. It's not carried in any specific place. It's everywhere.
And what kind of transactions are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about any kind of transaction, but mostly, transferring crypto coins. So you would
Ah,
say
okay.
value. So I buy something from you, or you buy something from me, or I'm transferring money.
I
But
see.
now
I
it's
see.
now it's also NFTs and all kind of other stuff.
Okay. And then e-commerce ventures.
Sure. So like that's funny how I got started. That's funny. So I heard everybody always, I don't know, you probably see them too, these people talking about how much money they made e-commerce. Like you see kids talking about, oh, they got Amazon stores and all this money. And I'm like, I'm out here doing it the hard way. So I
Mhm.
was like, because I ran blogs, I did, marketing, SEO, stuff like that. And I decided, man, let me try to do some e-commerce. So I went on Etsy. I don't know if you're familiar with Etsy.
Yeah.
It's a big
Yeah.
crafts kind of thing. I was like, I
Right.
guess I can start something on Etsy. And I had actually, and I always invest and I do things that I understand. That's like the first thing. I never try to do something because they say it's popular. It's if I understand and I want it. If I want to buy it, then maybe that's something I'll sell. And
Mhm.
this was for one of my videos, I said I wanted to have like the plaques, the YouTube plaques,
Mhm.
like the 100,000 one, the
Yes,
one
the silver
million one, the
ones,
gold.
right.
And I was like, I wonder if you could just buy those because it's really hard to find them. So I was
Mhm.
Googling how, and people make replicas, but it was so hard to find a decent replica. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make replicas and I'm going to put them as a crafts on Etsy. And I didn't make
I,
one.
I was gonna say, how the hell did you make one of those?
Well, I didn't. I put the ad that I was selling them first on Etsy. And immediately, like no advertisement, nothing, just flooded with orders all over the world. And I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, we got to go to Lowe's. And
Wow.
we got the wood. We would cut it in the size, and then the first ones were made with wallpaper. Like I got a silver wallpaper and stuck it to it We had like a little machine that would cut out the YouTube thing, and I would glue the letters by hand. So the
Get
first
the
few
fuck.
people got, I swear, they got pieces of shit. I mean, I was sending these motherfuckers to Egypt, like people ordering this stuff.
That's so it's so smart and such a shitty thing to do at the same time.
I know. Well, we tried to get better. So slowly we got better. Then I always started doing ones for like TikTok that were purple. No, what Twitch was purple. TikTok, I did it, whatever the color was. And so then it kind of became like a custom thing we were making. And we were doing maybe like 10K a month doing this stuff because we charged like $200 for one.
Wow. Did you ever get any like complaints? The first few that looked like shit. Did anybody email you and go, yeah? So
oh, yeah.
Did
A lot
anybody...
of people complained.
Yeah. Oh, that's like a Don King move, man. Do you remember Don King?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's like a Don. Yeah. We'll get you one, no problem. And it's like, what the fuck?
Well, I didn't know. Like, I tend to do stuff like that. I want to know if there's a market first. I just didn't know. Get so many orders. And then from there, I was like, well, 10K is great. What can we do to make 100,000 a month that we don't work our asses off doing? This was right during COVID, right? And so it's like, you know what? I was trying to find some weights. I wanted to work out at home, like many of us during that period of time, right? Because gyms were closed down. Couldn't find weights anywhere. Yeah, and I was just like, man, if you could somehow find a way to get some weights from China or something, get them over here, you can make a fortune. Killing.
Yeah.
But then everybody's telling me, well, I mean, if it was that easy, people wouldn't be out of stock, And I'm like, well, let me look. I went on Alibaba, and looking around and found some guy that was making cast iron plates, and he was willing to, send them over. So at that time, I had a little savings, right? So I was able to invest a couple $100,000 just on a whim to get it over.
I love how you say a little savings.
Well,
all right, good.
But I'm fortunate enough, to have been able to do that. It wouldn't have been as easy, right, if you didn't have the money. And so I imported. So basically, I bought these with no website, no nothing, and trusted first time. So he's like, okay, I'm saying, so I'm worried. I'm like, oh man, I made the website and everything, but I'm like thinking, what if he doesn't ship them? What if he just took the money? Then I'm thinking, well, what if the containers finally left? So I'm like, okay, well, what if I open the containers and there's no weights in there? And I'm worried about that. Well, what if the weights are in there, but they're pieces of shit?
Right.
So it's just a real stressful, but I did it. And it was like back September, maybe 2020, 2019, maybe. And put up the website. When they got to port, I put the website up, took pre-orders, and I think we did 1.9 million in 3 months.